This is Gene Bailey. If you're unfamiliar, he's a televangelist. He is on this TV show called Flashpoint. It's on Kenneth Copeland's TV network, the Victory Network. He is a Trump-supporting nutcase. Like, everything he says and does on this TV show is to help Donald Trump. It's crazy. So I want to listen to what he had to say here. This one is titled FBI Caught and Donald Trump Jr. interview, apparently. So let's give it a listen, see what they had to say for themselves. It's bound to be psychotic. It always is. And while we do, we're going to play some Breath of the Wild 2, just kind of going around doing whatever. If you never played it, it shouldn't bother you too much. All right, let's listen to this.
Always there. Why? Because we get canceled. We get suppressed.
Oh, my God. Just constant. Oh, I'm so mistreated and oppressed and blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, people. Get over yourselves, all right? It's so... like, they're not even canceled.
I'm not saying there's something sinister afoot, but I am saying if...
When somebody says that, you know they're saying there's something sinister afoot.
Of course, we're live on YouTube. However, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how long that's going to last. That's why I'm saying go watch us on some of these others that are more complimentary to our cause, and they're not trying to sequester us or cancel us or whatever. So I want to do that, and then I want to...
Like, if they didn't say absolutely insane stuff, then they'd be fine on YouTube. If they said even if they espouse questionable positions, even if they said things like, you know, I believe the election is stolen, right? That's allowed on YouTube. You're allowed to say that. YouTube's terms of service are so loose. I mean, you can't necessarily be monetized in saying certain things, but you can say nearly anything you want. To get banned from YouTube, you got to do a lot. You have got to really mess up somewhere along the way. These people are just ridiculous.
I want to get right into tonight's program. We got a lot of stuff we did not get into last night. Yes, I said last night because we're live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday now.
Yeah, they just modified their schedule so that they're live 3 nights a week, I think.
So you need to set your reminder on your phone to make sure you watch Flashpoint live.
You know what would have been funny if he just said it for them? He just said, Alexa, blah, blah, blah. Alexa, stop. That would have been really funny if he had if he tried to force reminders for people. It would have been messed up, and I would have condemned him for that, but it would have been funny.
7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we will be here. And that's including all of our events we have coming up. Well, back with me, of course.
Yeah, they have in-person events a lot.
You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. Lance Wallnau.
He's if you don't know Lance, he is a televangelist in his own right. Close friends with Steve Bannon, a Christian nationalist and extremist to the core. And he had his bank account frozen because he was accused of money laundering for Russia. Really. He posted about it on Twitter. That's how I even know about it. He said, I don't know, the FBI froze my bank account because they accused me of money laundering or some other thing. It's like, dude, why are you even talking about this right now? Quick note before we continue, I'm writing a book about my experiences inside the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. I cover the culture and doctrine. It's understandable even if you know literally nothing about the religion, so I'd appreciate if you gave it a read. To find out more, go to owenmorgan.com/book. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
And Pastor Rob McCoy are with me tonight. Welcome, gentlemen. Rob, you look like you're, is it warm there?
It's beautiful in Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Who asked him?
I'm tan rested and
Wow, that was just okay. I expected more than just that.
ready, Pastor Gene.
Yes, you are. All right, so we're going to do that. But before I get into, I want to welcome our guest, Don Trump Jr. Welcome in. Welcome, sir, back to the program, Flashpoint. It's been a while. Good to see you again.
I got to say, Don Jr. and Eric Trump both are very, very good at spreading propaganda. Really. I thought these two guys were dumb as dog shit, but really, well, they may be, but they are also very skilled at being propagandists. Very skilled at, unexpectedly good at it. And that's disturbing for a number of reasons. But don't underestimate their ability to spread propaganda. That's all I'm saying.
Good to see you, Gene. How you doing?
Wonderful. All right. So I want to talk about something that's recent in the news. Now, those of you watching on Flashpoint, you remember we had Marjorie Taylor Greene on not too long ago to talk about her book, MTG.
Oh, I remember.
And
I wonder if she had to pay them for that. Usually people have to pay for like book endorsements and stuff. Do you think they just did it for free because they like her?
This is the best back cover design I think ever. It's all the negative comments about Marjorie Taylor Greene are on the back. But this book, so she's not doing her book tour. This is normal. You go out there, you do book signings, and something else has been happening. Don, tell us what's been going on with it.
Dude, I wonder who she got to publish her book. Did she do a self-publishing deal or did she work with a publisher? The difference is, in one case, you have to start your own company. You have to go through the process of, like, you have to be a business manager of your own, or you have to hire a business manager. You have to come up with a name, and you have to file the paperwork and all this other stuff. You'll likely make a lot more money with self-publishing than you would with normal publishing, but it won't come in a lump sum the way that you would get with normal publishing using a company. I'm doing self-publishing because I don't even want to bother looking for a publisher. It's, a long process that I don't even really care that much about. So I already have an audience. I might as well try self-publishing. Why not, right? It's kind of my viewpoint on it. But, they give you a lump sum. So if it's expected that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to sell like 20,000 books, they'll give her $50,000 for it. And then they will pay her a small percentage of royalties as time goes on, like as more books are sold, basically. After 20,000 books are sold, she'll receive 10% in royalties for each book sold after that kind of thing.
Yes.
Well, for the record, publishing a book is really expensive, though. Even self-publishing, you have to get... Well, if you're self-publishing, you have to start the company. That's like $1,000 right there. At least just registering a company alone is really expensive and difficult if you're working with a lawyer, which you really should be doing. All the time and effort you put into like managing the company and organizing everything is another aspect of it. Also, having the book edited through line editing and then through copy editing, both. It costs like $10,000. It's a lot of money. Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
Something else has been happening. Don, tell us what's been going on with this.
Well, across the board, there's been people just, canceling venues. You had Hudson News, wouldn't even look at taking the book into those places,
Well, she's a scumbag. Yeah, of course. She's an insurrectionist. Did she really expect people to just let her in? And why is Don Jr. acting as her publicist all of a sudden? Why are we even listening to him talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene's book?
They wouldn't take other conservative, people, they wouldn't publish Mark Levin's book, or they wouldn't sell Mark Levin's book.
Well, they're psychotic and they're liars. Of course they wouldn't. You don't have a right to a platform. Gene Bailey is not required to allow me onto Flashpoint. Does that mean he's canceling me? Am I canceled by Flashpoint? No. I'm just not invited to be a guest on there. Not invited to be a part of it. Two different things completely. But nope, they have to be victims in every situation.
So it's the constant censorship coming from the left, coming from people.
You don't have a right to a platform. It's not censorship for people to not allow you onto their platform. That is not censorship.
There's a consequence to being conservative. The other side has fought that very hard all across the board. And, we got to keep pushing back every way we can.
Oh, cry me a river. See, this is what I'm talking about. Propagandist.
Yeah, we can't. Let me show you Marjorie Taylor Greene's her tweet here. The fake New York Times has not told the truth yet again, playing the lapdog for Democrats, defending democracy to wage all-out campaign, attacking venues to cancel my book signing and free speech. And
Wait, it's a fake news. New York Times not told the truth yet again is playing lapdog for Democrats. Democrats defending democracy have waged an all-out campaign attacking venues. Who? Who did this? Where? In what context? What are you talking about? The Democratic Party, as a party, a political party in the United States, is calling book venues and stuff to cancel your book tour? I'm sorry, man. I just don't believe her. I don't believe a single word out of her mouth.
And then when you go and you do a search about this, you get all sorts of things come up. An event, look at this one, event that would have featured Georgia Republican Rep Marjorie Taylor Greene's being canceled after the venue hosting it learned that she was to reportedly use the occasion to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Hey, can't blame her or can't blame them for that. Yeah, that's psychotic. I don't know why she would think that that's an acceptable behavior to commemorate January 6th, a terrorist event. But that's fine with me. Somebody wants to cancel or not allow her to use their platform, their venue. That's their right. That is their free speech that they're exercising. They're not required to platform her. That's called compelled speech, and it's been overruled by the Supreme Court over and over and over again, namely in Barnett v. the West Virginia Board of Education. Jehovah's Witnesses were battling the requirement that was on students to say the Pledge of Allegiance before school every day. And Jehovah's Witnesses fought the legal battle that made it so that they did not have to say the Pledge of Allegiance anymore if they did not want. And I actually knew one of the Barnett sisters. She was in my congregation, Gaithy. She was Gaithy Edmonds when I knew her. Boyd Edmonds was her husband. Anyways, she got lawyers coming around every now and then asking her questions about it and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting. But compelled speech is not allowed in the United States. You can't force somebody to say something the way that that they seem to want here. You can't force someone to say the pledge. You can't force them to platform Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can force them to not discriminate against people. But, political positions are not protected under the Anti-Discrimination Act. So she's just acting like a victim when she's just not one.
It's always interesting to me, Don, how this stuff always seems to come out. And how would they know what she was doing? I mean, she doesn't publicize it. She's going to talk about, maybe she was going to say how horrible it was. They don't know what she was going to say, but they sure didn't waste any time to get her canceled.
No, well, that's what they do. They leave.
Really? You don't think that Marjorie Taylor Greene publicizes the fact that she wants to commemorate January 6th? Are you kidding me? She won't shut up about it. It's constant. She's talking about how great January 6th was nonstop. I don't know what the hell they're saying right now or where they're pulling this from, if not their ass.
To their own conclusions. They drive their own narrative. What they say then gets picked up and carried by big tech and everyone else, and that becomes the gospel.
Big tech, and it becomes the gospel. Come on, man.
Even if it's nonsense. How many times have we seen that, right? Russia definitely happened, but the Hunter Biden laptop didn't.
See, this is what I mean when I say he's a propagandist. It's constant with these people. Conservatives have done nothing to help people out of poverty. All they do is create oversaturation with the go into X field advice. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely agree. They don't care about people being in poverty. They don't care about helping the homeless like Jesus instructed of people. They don't care about any of that. They care about enriching themselves and helping corporations at any cost. That's what is really on their list. It's just ridiculous, honestly.
Now, those two things are exactly opposite of the truth, but that doesn't matter. All the lies we were told with COVID and Wuhan and everything else.
What lies were we told with COVID and Wuhan? Outside of the lies told by Eric Trump. I'm sorry, by Don Jr. Science or scientists, the people who were trying to guide the public through COVID did not lie. They just understood certain things. They were learning with us. This is a brand new virus that nobody fully understood yet. Just because they suggested something that worked in other circumstances or didn't work in others doesn't mean that they lied. Propagandist's gonna propaganda, right?
The mainstream media perpetrates this. Big tech amplifies and or
I think he meant perpetuates.
censors, depending on which side of the spectrum you're on. And you see that, not just in tech and in media, but you see it in, our judicial system. You see what's going on right now with the J6ers versus other people for, frankly, all much more and more serious crimes.
January 6th people are being treated exactly the same as any other prisoner. Right-wingers just seem to just now be realizing that prisoners are treated like dirt in the United States. Do they care about those other prisoners? No, they don't. They're going to even avoid fixing problems for prisoners' rights and all that. They're sidestepping it completely by claiming that January 6ers are uniquely treated poorly. They can't, try to fix things for all prisoners. So they're just going to make shit up. It's insane.
We're living in a very dystopian world right now.
We are. And before I get off Marjorie Taylor Greene, listen, if you want Marjorie's book, you can go to MTG Book.
Okay, thank you for the shout out. I do wonder how much she paid them for that. Because just selling a very small number of books is a lot of money. I mean, it's super expensive to get the book printed and all that in the first place. Like I said, it costs about $10,000 just to do line editing and copy editing alone for a book, just to get it ready to be published. Not to mention the printing costs and everything else. It costs to get a book completely off the ground and self-published properly, probably costs $15,000 to $20,000. But every 100 copies that you sell is like $5,000, so you're talking big numbers. You got to put a lot of money down. It's very difficult. That's why I'm doing a pre-order system for mine. When I eventually get there, I have to start the company first before I can take any payments for it. So anyways, that's why the pre-order exists, or the pre-order system exists, because it's so difficult, so expensive to do. I have to imagine that, how many copies do you think they sold for her by shouting it out here? 500? If so, they made her $25,000, and it would have been worth it for her to pay $20,000 for such an endorsement.
.com. You'd like to get that, help her out. She's being canceled right and left. That's why
she's not being canceled.
Have to rally together this. All right. So speaking of being canceled, let me show you this, Don. Gina Griswold posts, Colorado's 24 presidential primary ballot is certified. The United States Supreme Court has accepted the case, and Donald Trump will appear on the ballot as a result.
Wait. I don't remember who Jenna Griswold is. So let me look this up. She's a Democrat, 39th Colorado Secretary of State, serving since January 8th, 2019. And this tweet, which, you have to take with a grain of salt. Is this even real? I don't know. These people lie for a living, so it's hard to know. But it says here, Colorado's 2024 presidential primary ballot is certified. The U.S. Supreme Court has accepted the case, and Trump will appear on the ballot as a result. Is that real? Did the Supreme Court really do that? Hang on. 7 days ago, Trump asked the Supreme Court to overturn the Colorado ballot thing. I'm not seeing any news that they accepted it. I'm just seeing results that say that Trump asked them to a week ago. Here's Reuters from 4 days ago. Supreme Court on Friday agreed to hear Trump's appeal of a judicial decision barring the president from Colorado's Republican primary ballot, taking up a politically explosive case with major implications for the 2024 presidential election. Okay, so they agreed to take it up. So they're not saying that Trump will be on the ballot. They're saying that the Supreme Court is hearing the appeal, which probably means that he'll be on the ballot. Because why would the Supreme Court even take up the case if they didn't intend to overturn what was already ruled? But okay, so she's probably saying that he will likely be on the ballot.
The case, and Donald Trump will appear on the ballot as a result. Your dad just is almost the poster child of being canceled, suppressed.
Oh my God. Richest dude the richest president to have ever existed, at the very least. Most influential because he's formed a cult around himself. Born with a platinum spoon in his mouth. And he is the persecuted and mistreated one. You know, one of the most disturbing things I believe that Trump ever did, in my opinion, he was going around pardoning a bunch of people, right? Like pardoning his close friends and allies. He pardoned Lil Wayne for gun charges and weed charges and stuff, because Lil Wayne is a gigantic Trump fan, sadly. He pardoned, I don't even remember, a ton of people, Steve Bannon and so on and so forth. Pardoned a bunch of people. And Michael Cohen, his personal lawyer for a long time, was charged with helping Trump cover something up. But since Cohen spoke about Trump in a way that Trump didn't like, not only did he not help Cohen, not only did Cohen have to stay in jail because he wasn't pardoned, but the Justice Department, with Bill Barr at its head, didn't let Cohen out. He put him in solitary confinement for 12 days when everyone else was being put on home confinement because of COVID. That is a U.S. president directly putting his political enemies in prison or keeping them in prison longer than they should be. I think that's probably the most disturbing thing that Trump ever did, in my opinion. The rest is bad. The rest is leading to extremism, leading to, fascism and all that stuff. This is a step beyond moving in that direction. This is fascism right here. And holy shit, is it disturbing to me. Yeah, this guy is persecuted and canceled, though. Totally.
Sued, arraigned, all of these things, and yet he still keeps coming out. What do you think of all these trying to keep him off the ballot? This is crazy.
Well, he did commit an insurrection. Natalie, conservatives have notoriously made things difficult for people trying to better their lives and people trying to get better jobs. Oh, 100%. Yeah, because, of course, they want to benefit corporations. Because Republicans are largely made up of corporations, or the corporations, the head of the corporations, control the Republican Party for all intents and purposes. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. It's absurd, man.
Well, it's insane. And don't forget, that's still a very leftist, state. If the Supreme Court said something or gave them some sort of wiggle room, they would try to make sure to take him off the ballot. You saw the Secretary of State in Maine do something very similar, just not based on a case, based on some YouTube videos she saw.
Dude, I love that he's complaining about unilateral power, about somebody having the authority to make a decision outside of a court, when that's exactly what Trump has been fighting for, the ability to do this entire time. He wanted to unilaterally make decisions. That's what Project 2025 is all about, dismantling the administrative state and handing power to a single person. Don Jr. and Donald Trump and Eric and everyone else, they don't care about people's rights. They don't care about a right to a trial or juries or democracy. They don't care about any of that shit. They care about control. This is not beneficial to them right now. This situation isn't. So they're going to complain about it, even though this is exactly what they shoot for in every other situation.
Unilaterally just deciding it. So the people who screech the most about democracy and such, even though we're a constitutional republic, I think they want us to be a democracy so they can vote away your rights.
Okay, wait. Are you in favor of democracy or not? I can't tell. He says, the people that are in favor of democracy, I'm opposed to this thing happening because it's not democratic. But the people that are in favor of democracy are in favor of this. But I'm not in favor of democracy because we're not a democracy. Like, what? My God, what a confusing little train this guy's created here.
But they do this stuff. They function unilaterally. And has tweets about, all of the things that they're very hypocritical about. And yet one person decided, not based on anything, not based on a conviction or any findings of guilt or anything, to unilaterally take one person off of the ballot.
So they're saying that Trump was not found guilty. Yes, he was. Well, I mean, I guess you could say he was found guilty in the congressional hearings. They laid it all out in the, the January 6th hearings in Congress, whatever the hell they're called. I'm suddenly completely blanking on what they were called. The whole situation was laid out. The evidence was laid bare for everybody to see at the time. Now, should things be unilaterally decided? Maybe not. Maybe we should go with like a more democratic situation. But the fact that that Don Jr. of all people is complaining about this is absurd. There was a filmmaker that followed Donald Trump around. He got permission to follow him around and do a documentary on him in the White House, him and his family, in the last year of his presidency. And something that documentarians find, or that they reveal about how their system works, something I didn't expect, is a lot of the time they just follow people around, and those people may not even remember that they're there. I mean, they're just around and they're just doing their work and taking care of their business and whatever. And the documentarians are just like in the background, completely forgotten. And they record stuff that like nobody intended them to see. So this documentarian, or this documentary crew, like followed them around for the last year of their presidency, turned the footage over to the January 6th committee, of course. But they did an AMA on Reddit forever ago, and they were asked, what's something you wouldn't have expected to learn from them? The documentary crew said, Eric Trump is scared shitless of his brother, Don Jr. He's terrified of him. Why, do you think? Why is Eric Trump so afraid of Don Jr.? What a weird thing to happen. That makes you think. They're both adults. They're in their 40s. Why would one be afraid of the other like that? That's bizarre, right? Anyway, thought it was fascinating.
That's not even a committee. She's not even a lawyer, and it was based on literally videos she saw on YouTube or something insane. I mean,
or something. No, it was based on the January 6th hearings at the very least. The footage that we saw of January 6th. I mean, there are tons of things that this stuff is based upon. Again, maybe it shouldn't be unilateral. There should be an appeal process at the very least, I think. But it's totally justified to remove him from the ballot. He is absolutely and without a doubt an insurrectionist.
It is lunacy. And so the left is projecting a lot these days. They're showing all of their cards. They're doing and saying all of the things we said that they would do. And, they're showing just how much they don't believe in democracy or anything like that.
Let me show you this.
He says, as he condemns democracy and says the United States is not one.
done. This is, I think this was from Fox, posted this graphic. States with suits, I did not know it was to this point, to bar Trump from the ballot. The yellow.
I didn't actually know it was to this point either. I don't know that Donald Trump, I'm sorry, I don't know that this graphic is accurate, so be skeptical. But I do know that there are actually a lot of lawsuits happening right now to bar Trump from being on the ballot, actually. Pending cases are yellow. Blue are dismissed. Green is pending appeal. Trump is disqualified. Pending appeal is red. And orange is voluntary dismissal by plaintiff. Orange is just not a problem anymore. They're paying no attention to orange because it's not happening there, I guess. So I guess it was decided definitively in 2 states, Maine and Colorado. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 states maybe have pending cases right now. 4 cases have been dismissed. I'm not sure what that means. If that means that it was dismissed, like the appeal was dismissed, or if the original case was dismissed. I'm not sure. And then West Virginia, Florida, and Arizona are pending appeal. Wow, fascinating.
Was pending cases. Blue are dismissed. Green is pending appeal. Red, of course, is Colorado and Maine. And speaking of Maine, she doesn't even have the right. She's not legally, she can't take his name off the ballot.
In Maine, yes, she can. She is a Secretary of State, and in that case, Secretaries of State have that power. If you don't want them to have that power, that's another thing. But they do right now in Maine, to my knowledge. Colorado had to go through a whole court case.
Ballot. Yeah, she's done that. And then the other color there, orange, is voluntary dismissal by plaintiff. You know, this is simply lawfare. It's just keep this thing.
I don't know what this means, lawfare. They keep using this word. I guess it means they're using the law against people. I mean, that's just not what's happening. Like, what does this even mean exactly?
Up in the public eye, keep it spinning to hopefully something will take. Do you really think they think this is going to work?
You know, I think their idea is, they're sort of venue shopping like they are with, having cases in D.C. where Trump's never going to be able to get a fair trial like you are in Fulton County, Georgia, where.
Oh, so he has to operate within a red state or it just doesn't count? Come on, man.
The same. And so I think their theory is, if you throw enough stuff on the wall, eventually something will stick. I think that's what they're hoping for. They're trying to do anything they can. They're trying to rig.
Like, who is they in this scenario?
An election. They're trying to jail their clearly their biggest opponent politically. All of the things that they yell about when it happens in third world banana republics are happening right here in the United States.
This is ridiculous. Really? Banana republics. He thinks we're a banana republic. This is just sad, man.
Like I said, it's dystopian. This is, the Marxist playbook, and the Democrats are running it, full.
How is this a Marxist playbook? When did Marx talk about any of this? Marx has a literal playbook, okay? It's called... Oh my God, what's it called? The Karl Marx's Book of Official Theory? I suddenly am completely blanking on its name. There is a playbook for Marx. Hey, welcome, KJ Doglove. There's nothing in there about jailing your political opponents or whatever the hell he thinks he's going on about right now. Like, my God, people.
They're going all in on
Das Kapital. Is that it? Is that the Marx playbook? I couldn't remember.
this stuff, and they're showing their hand. I just hope enough people actually wake up to see what's going on, and they understand that we have to push back against this stuff, because once it goes this way, they don't just give back those freedoms. They don't just say, okay, you know what? We got Trump. We got what we wanted. Now we're going to go back to normal. This will become our very existence. And,
there is no normal left. There's no chance of going back to normal. I feel like we've mostly gone back to normal with COVID, with some exceptions. People are still wearing masks and things, but I don't believe that we'll ever be fully back to normal with COVID. We will most definitely not be fully back to normal after what Donald Trump did. No chance in hell. Trump has done untold amounts of damage to our political system, and it is so sad to see. He has wrecked our political system and pushed us closer to fascism than we've been in a long, long time as a country.
Again, I don't think it's a stretch to say that.
No, it's not. In fact, speaking of that, look at this poll. Now, take into fact, this is CBS. All right, so you got to take that into account. But look,
okay, I got it. I don't trust anything that they release. Like, they very well could be modifying the graphics and everything. So just be skeptical.
This is what people said by party. If you take Trump's name on ballot, states should take Trump's name off. 81% Democrats, 19% say keep Trump's name on. 90% of Republicans say keep his name on. 10% say take his name off of Republicans.
If this is real, that's actually big. That's really big. You know what that means? That means 10% of Republicans, registered Republicans, are opposed to Donald Trump and believe him to be an insurrectionist. That's what that means, if true. And as I'm sure everybody here has seen, elections can go either way based on absolutely anything. Like, it is so easy to have an election go like a completely different direction in an instant, because elections in the U.S. are so close a lot of the time. So if 10% of the Republican Party believes that Trump is just straight up evil, I thought it was more, honestly. I thought that Trump only controlled about 30% of the Republican Party, not 70%, or not 90% the way it seems here. But, 10% even is good. That's a good thing. You know what that means? It means Republicans cannot win without Trump, and they can't win with Trump. They were supposed to take it away in the midterms in 2022, and they lost miserably. It was supposed to be like a red wave in 2022, and it was nothing. We kept the Senate and barely lost the House, just barely. And it's so divided that they can't do anything. They can't get anything done. So we're in much better shape, in my opinion, than it feels sometimes, because Trump is so hated. But we have to keep plugging away. We have to keep trying, working at it. Polls mean nothing, as KJ Doglove says. Polls mean nothing. That's important because we need to vote and we need to work at it and we need to root this out. No matter what the percentage is, even if the percent was only 10% think that Donald Trump should be on the ballot, that is 10% of the country that doesn't seem to understand what Donald Trump did or why it was wrong fully. That's 10% of the country that is either completely oblivious to reality or is okay with fascism and extremism. So it's important that we get out there and vote over anything else.
But the one I want to show you is, look at that independent number right there in the middle. Still, CBS poll, 56% still say keep his name on. It continues to astound me in a good way, how no matter what keeps thrown at President Trump, it seems to only fuel his fight for 2024.
Well, listen, I think so. I think
that's not fueling his fight. Those are actually really bad numbers, honestly. Numbers where, what is this total? I don't know what the total was. Is it like 60% of the electorate or something wants Trump off of the ballots? That's not a win for Donald Trump at all.
If they picked one thing that was actually real instead of just making up 30 things and hoping, they may be able to fool the people. But I think the last few years, a lot of people have really awakened to what's going on in our.
If they picked one thing that Donald Trump did that was actually real and bad, then they could fool the people into thinking that Donald Trump was real or bad. That's what he just said.
government. They see that disparate treatment. They see the ridiculousness of all of these cases and the desperation and the ridiculous lengths the other side is going to. And I think it's having the reverse effect. People are actually understanding just how corrupted our government is. The people who already had a lot of distrust in government, and they realize now that whatever they had, it was not enough. And that same would go for disdain in what's going on right now in our government. So it's scary. It's pretty sad. And I think the reason the other side, and frankly, the deep state and the Washington elite on both sides are all. Trump's the only
he keeps freezing.
guy that can break up that system. He's the only guy that they actually fear. They realize everyone else they control. They don't control Trump, and that's what scares them ultimately. They need that power and they need the control.
Dude, I think it's so weird how Don Jr. keeps saying Trump is blah, blah, blah. Trump is the only one that this or that or whatever. It's just odd for him to call his own father Trump, right? I mean, what else would he call him? I don't know. I guess that's kind of what Eric and Don Jr. agreed to call him publicly, but it's just strange to me.
All right, Don, I know I got to let you go here, but I want to ask you one last question. Going in, we were believing and praying that this wouldn't take this long to see this righted, the ship righted, and your dad back in office. But as we go into this last year of election process and seeing everything happen, what's the one thing, I want to know two answers. What's the one thing you're concerned about, and what's the one thing you feel really good about going into November?
Well, I feel really good about the enthusiasm. I mean, I see it every day, the amount of people coming up to me. I mean, and not just people who are sort of, always MAGA Republicans, but people who are just, again, getting all the things that I've been talking about. They MAGA Republicans. Understand that. They understand what is at stake. And really everything is at stake in terms of our freedoms and our liberties and all of the things that we truly hold dear. I think the things that I'm afraid of is, the unknowns. What are the games that the other side will play, right? They've proven they don't care about, the sound bites that they throw out there.
Who the hell is they? Again, he keeps saying they, some ambiguous authority out there that's like trying to get him or something.
They don't care about democracy. It's a laughing point for them.
When I say they, I specify who I'm talking about. When I say they, I mean Donald Trump. I mean Gene Bailey, or I mean Eric Trump or Don Jr. or whatever. I specify who I'm talking about. That's important. Otherwise, it's called using weasel words. It's a real term, weasel words. When you write a book, interestingly enough, and when you talk in kind of in a common way, when you're not trying to be scholarly or whatever, you commonly do use weasel words. That is actually a big part of it, because why would you, if you're citing something in a book, for example, I make a bunch of citations in my book. If I cite it directly by saying Jehovah's Witnesses in the 1962 Watchtower, page 7, paragraph 6 or whatever, if I say that, then there's no point in putting a citation in the first place. So I will say, Jehovah's Witnesses in 1962 said blah, blah, blah. Those are kind of weasel words because it seems like I'm not citing my source, but I am, as long as I put a citation in. Don Jr. does that constantly. No citations, constant weasel words, never citing who he's talking about. He just says they. They are out to get me. They are trying to ruin this or that or whatever. He should specify who they is, because he's not writing a book here. He's not citing sources elsewhere.
And they just play those games much more viciously and much more aggressively than our side does. So,
in reality, there is no they. It's just any political enemy that I have.
I'm hoping that we are able to combat whatever insanity they're going to throw at whether it's my father or, frankly, that they would throw at anyone else to just win and take total control of our country. So, it's the unknown that's a little bit scary, but something's coming, so you just got to prepare for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let me bring in the guys here. Lance, I'm sitting here looking at Don, and, his name super says co-founder of Winning Team Publishing. This is exactly what you and I have talked about.
Wait, Don Jr. is the co-founder of a publishing company? Is that what he said?
You longer than me, about 7 mountains. he was kind of forced into this to get some things published because no publisher would pick, their authors. Nobody would do it. And yet, so here he is with Winning Team Publishing, taking back a mountain. Your thoughts, Lance, before we let.
Okay. He's saying mountains a lot, 7 mountains and stuff. He's talking about 7 mountains dominionism, or the 7 mountains mandate. It's the Christian nationalists' plan to take over the United States. 7 mountains mandate is where you need to put people at the top of these 7 areas of society: education, the military, and the government, and so on and so forth. That's the plan, disturbingly. So he's saying that somebody is taking over one of those 7 mountains. Media is the one. That's the mountain he's talking about. They started a publishing company, and that means they're taking over the media arm? Okay.
Let him go.
Well, one of the advantages we have, and this is really encouraging to all of us, is they took President Trump off of Twitter and off of Facebook. Since then, Elon Musk has grabbed Twitter, turned it into X. You've got Rumble now rolling as an alternative platform for all of
Not really. Not yet.
us canceled and constantly edited on YouTube. So we have an alternative economy in terms of ideas. And that means that the field is level. And like you saw in the data on trying to take Trump off the ballot, that 50%, 55%, that's the Joe Rogan independent. Right. That's the Russell Brand independent.
Those are not independents. Those 2 people, Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, they're far-right nutcases now. They used to be independent a little bit. No longer. Not even close. They are both psychotic at this point and deeply biased in favor of certain specific people that they like. It's an embarrassment at this point. Manifesto of the Communist Party. There you go. The Communist Manifesto. That's what I was thinking of. Thanks, Beta Ray.
That's the Jordan Peterson independent. I got news for you, man. You're not going to be able to control the news.
Sorry, I missed this. Will you be covering the, Lauren, will you be covering the 2024 election? If so, I can't wait for it. Last year's election, I was still religious. I've come a long way. Deconstructed. BTW, love your streams and videos, not from the U.S. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad you like my stuff. I will be talking about the 2024 election, but not on my main channel, probably. Most likely just on my Fireside channel and this one. Anyways, yeah. Glad you made it. All right, let's keep listening here for another minute.
That's the Jordan Peterson independent.
Jordan Peterson is not independent by any stretch of the imagination. Again, right-wing nutcase. If he thinks that Jordan Peterson and Russell Brand are independent, like right down the middle, like I can offer you no hope. What the hell are you talking about? To believe that is just whacked out as it gets, for real. My God, dude. I get somebody thinking Joe Rogan is independent because he was. He used to be. Not anymore. But, if you don't follow him closely, you don't follow politics closely, I can forgive you thinking that he's still an independent. But not Russell Brand. Not Jordan Peterson. Those 2 guys were always nutcases, pretty much, from the very beginning.
I got news for you, man. You're not going to be able to control the news cycle like you used to, and the pushback is going to be strong this year.
I agree. Rob McCoy, your thoughts before we let Don go?
The micro is going to surpass the macro. Traditional media or legacy media is becoming irrelevant, and these smaller outlets are growing in significance. And that's where the American people are going. They're gravitating towards truth. And we're grateful for the president pursuing and being persistent and not quitting. And you too, Don Jr. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Don.
We really appreciate it. And look, I think you're right. They've always said, hey, build your own. Then they'll put up every roadblock imaginable. Oh, you don't like it? Build your own. Build your own. We're actually doing that. I'm doing it with a publishing company. We have Winning Team Publishing.
Oh, he's got his own publishing company too, apparently. Winning Team Publishing. Never heard of that one before. Okay.
Literally mainstream publishers, even if they would take a book, we had people pay and up front and then not publish the book because they didn't want this out there, and not from radical.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hang on. Did he say he had people, or they had people pay up front and then not publish the book? That's not how publishing works. A publishing company pays you for the rights to the book that you create. They'll give you a lump sum. I don't know what Marjorie Taylor Greene got. Probably $50,000 up front. Who knows? I have no clue. And then she gets royalty fees for every book published after that. You don't pay them to publish your book. They pay you to publish your book. You sign your rights away to the book. So he's just making this up completely. Of course. Anybody expect any differently from Don Jr.?
Pay and up front and then not publish the book because they didn't want this out there, and not from radical people. These are sitting members of Congress.
This is just complete nonsense. What is he even talking about? Who had this happen to them? Which person? What company? He's just going to say, them, they had this happen. These companies did this. Pronouns out the wazoo all of a sudden. As KJ Dog Love says, suddenly they love pronouns. Insane.
You've seen what's going on with Public Square, sort of taking on Amazon and that model that's gone.
I've never heard of that, but I guarantee that Don Jr. was paid for that endorsement just now.
So awry, Public Square, where you're linking up like-minded small businesses with people who actually want to support those businesses rather than giving it to the big woke corporations that are out there that are taking your hard-earned dollars and donating it to the causes that you would hate and that frankly hate you. Public Square has been a great
that's mention number 2. Can we fit a third one in before he goes? Getting 3 mentions like that is the standard because people remember things that they hear 3 times in a row. Public Square, blah, blah, blah. Public Square, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see if he mentions it a third time.
Avenue to do that. You have, the guys at Patriot Mobile taking on woke telecom.
Oh boy, Patriot Mobile, another mention. How much money is he being paid for each endorsement? Don Jr. mentioning this stuff on Flashpoint in front of this gigantic audience, probably worth $50,000 per mention. No, maybe not. I'd say $25,000 because he's just saying their names once or twice. If it was like a 30-second advertisement for them, I would say $50,000. Maybe more, $100,000 even. But I'm going to guess between 25 and 50 for single mentions or for 3 mentions on this TV show.
The parent company of AT&T literally tried canceling Newsmax and OAN on TV. And so you have options.
They didn't cancel them. They just didn't re-sign their contract. They don't seem to understand the difference between not allowing somebody to use your existing platform and depriving people of their rights, their First Amendment right to speak or whatever. That is not a violation of free speech. That's just you don't have the right to be on my channel if I don't want you there. And I don't have a right to be on Flashpoint if you don't want me there.
Now, it's gone so far, the pendulum has swung so far that you have actually people really fighting back and combating it. So those are great options. But what people have to actually do is actually go out there and take that extra step to go support those businesses, find out about them, utilize that service, sign up. Don't just take the easy button of, well, I'm on Amazon, so I'm going to hit a button one time and I'll just order it that way because, something else takes 3 seconds. On Public Square, you now have, they're growing these platforms, but we need everyone.
Did you hear that? That last thing he said? Listen one more time. I'm going to step back 5 seconds.
Something else takes 3 seconds. On Public Square, you now.
Mention number 3, Public Square. Let's see if he says it a 4th time before he leaves. I will bet money. Well, I'm not going to bet money. Who would I even pay for this? Everybody's probably going to agree. I would bet that he's not going to say it a 4th time because he doesn't need to. Because 3 is what he was paid to say. I'm guessing. We'll see.
Now they're growing these platforms, but we need everyone's help. We need to vote with our wallets and get out there and actually support these businesses. Because once you take away the dollars, the entire shift is going to be very dynamic.
It sure is. Thank you, Don. Winning Team Publishing. We're talking about go get the mtgbook.com. Thank you, sir. God bless you and your family. And we'll be praying for you all this year.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
The end. No, if you notice, there isn't a fourth mention. Anybody catch on to that? He said public square a total of 3 times. That is funny, dude. He's most definitely being paid for that endorsement, right? I feel like that kind of seals it. I mean, we'll never know for sure, even though he's supposed to disclose that. Legally, he could get in a lot of trouble for not telling anybody that he has this person as a sponsor or whatever. I just about guarantee that they're working together. And that's fascinating, man. Yeah, tell me what you think about this. Don Jr. is just terrible. Just terrible. But fascinating. Fascinating to watch a propagandist at work.